I'm Soledad O'Brien. Welcome to Matter of Fact. Republicans and Democrats don't agree about much these days, but they've found common ground on Obamacare. Across the country, Republicans are running a wave of ads promising that they will save protections for Americans with pre-existing health conditions, one of the most popular provisions of Obamacare.
I'm taking on both parties and fighting for those with pre-existing conditions.
There's just one problem with that ad. Congressman Dana Rohrabacher actually voted for the 2017 House GOP's repeal and replacement bill that would have allowed states to raise premiums for people with pre-existing conditions. And he's also voted for a full repeal of Obamacare without a replacement bill. So why the sudden about-face? Thomas Miller is with the American Enterprise Institute. It's a conservative think tank in Washington, D.C. He's also the author of a book, which is called Why Obamacare is Wrong for America. It's so nice to have you with us. Have you been surprised that so much of the conversation as we head into the midterms is around health care?
I think that each side tends to want to emphasize its strengths. And from the Democratic side, they feel like they have a winner in health care, and they're on the offensive on that. And many of the Republican candidates are on the defensive. The big issue is where independents are, which is a little more of a mixed bag.
So Pew Center says health care is the most popular issue for 9 in 10 Democratic voters. And I get that that's kind of a wide topic, health care generally. For Republicans, 6 in 10 say it's very important. That would lead me to say Republicans care a lot about this issue, too.
Everybody says that health care is a very important issue. The question is, where's the intensity factor? What drives your vote? On the Republican side, they'll tend to be driven more by other issues than by health care. And everyone will nod. This is good citizenship. Are you concerned about health care? Yes, I am. It's a very important issue. That doesn't necessarily tell you how people are going to vote differently than they did before, whether they're going to turn out to vote.
So when we hear all these Republican candidates, and there's been a handful who wrap a personal narrative. I have a son, a nephew, a cousin, a friend who has fill-in-the-blank disease, talking about pre-existing conditions. Is that because they're trying to confuse people about their real position? I mean, obviously, most of them voted against ACA. If they wanted to protect pre-existing conditions, they could have supported it.
When you take things apart, you have to put them back together again. Some Republicans were a little slow to realize that, and it worked as an out party to say, this is terrible, it's bad, we're going to get rid of it. Then when it came to the replace part, it was a little more complicated. They had trouble reaching a consensus.
Some candidates who've voted against ACA like 31 times. It seems like a hard strategy to convince people that was not my intention.
Well, that felt good at the time. I mean, there was a lot of opposition. Obviously, the polls have switched around. Republicans weren't able to repeal or replace ACA, but they were able to make it more popular. So that was the main achievement over the last year or so. And in that climate, they recognize that they're dealing with a different terrain. And so they're repositioning, saying, no, I didn't mean to do that.
Does Washington, D.C. speak for just lying?
Well, I think if you're in politics, you have to rely on both short-term memory loss and cognitive dissonance. Now, that's not lying.
So that's a yes. That's a yes.
That's called the state of the art. And it works on both sides, to be fair. It depends upon where your stress is. And politicians don't lead, they ultimately follow.
Josh Hawley, he's Missouri's Attorney General, and he has a beautiful family, and his adorable son is in his ad, and he talks about his health care issues and how he is going to protect pre-existing conditions. He actually is suing to overturn the ACA, right, which would actually literally do the opposite of what he's claiming.
That's a more complex legal argument. I could give you that analysis, which is the Supreme Court's not going to overturn that much of the ACA. When this process works out, at most they'll say the individual mandate is a regulatory command, is unconstitutional.
The big takeaway is if you have a pre-existing condition, so health care for the rest of us, if you have a pre-existing condition, and in fact there's no protection on someone being able to continue to charge you more and more and more, effectively you're not really protecting people because they could just be charged.
Correct, but that's a little out of context. There's a small subset of people who are actually exposed to that even under current law. If you're in the group market, you're pretty much wall-to-wall protection as long as you maintain continuous coverage. In the individual market, the actual experience is not as dire as was talked about from 10 years ago, but that's an older argument, which is lost by Republicans.
When the Senate Majority Leader talks about cutting entitlements, Is that a bad strategy as you're 3 weeks away from the midterm, a couple weeks away?
Well, that came out, just a day or two ago. I mean, there's a lot of mixed messages. As I said to someone the other day, that's why politicians have two sides to their mouth. The idea that there's going to be a sudden onslaught on entitlement reform, I think, is pretty far-fetched over the next couple of years.
What are your predictions for the midterms?
Confusion and muddle, but, today's conventional wisdom could change. In general, Republicans are in trouble in the House, and Democrats are not picking up in the Senate and might lose a couple seats. Governor's races are underappreciated. That could change a lot of the health care issue if some state houses flip. The question is turnout and intensity and passion, and we'll see who shows up at the polls.
That'll be so interesting, right?
Yeah.
To see
Models don't work if different people show up to vote.
If the turnout changes completely and new people come into the system, then you can forget your models.
Right.
Tom Miller, nice to have you. Thanks for talking
Pleasure.
with us. Really appreciate it.